We are speaking with the Democrats, and some very good things could happen with respect to health care. I will say this, just hang in there, because I think a lot of good things are going to happen. That's all I can say. I mean, I think a lot of good things could happen, and that could also pertain to health care.
That's President Trump signaling a willingness to negotiate with Democrats as the shutdown enters now day 7 today. President Trump said on Truth Social yesterday, "I am happy to work with the Democrats on their failed health care policies or anything else. But first, they must allow our government to reopen." The House-passed government funding bill once again failed in the Senate yesterday by a vote of 52 to 42. Senate Majority Leader John Thune is expected to force another vote on government funding today. We'll see how that plays out. House Speaker Mike Johnson, meanwhile, rejecting House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries' call for a televised debate, arguing the time to do that was when the House considered its 7-week CR last month. Speaker Johnson will address the media once again today. Joining me now, coming up ahead of all of that, is West Virginia Congressman Riley Moore, member of the House Appropriations Committee. Congressman, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. How do you see this shutdown playing out?
Well, thanks, Maria. And this idea of a televised debate, they had their chance for that. We're past all that now. And the House did pass our CR. Bipartisan, by the way. Democrat did vote for it. And the way I see this playing out is eventually they are going to have to cave on this. And the president is exactly right. This isn't the part of negotiation. The point of the CR is so we can fund the government, so we can get into negotiation on the rest of the appropriations bills, which we have passed all 12 out of the Appropriations Committee, which I'm a member of, and we passed 3 on the floor, and the Senate has passed 3 on the floor. That is when we negotiate, is during that stopgap funding measure, this short-term CR. That is the time to negotiate. But these demands that they have put on us, $1.5 trillion for health care for illegal immigrants. By the way, at the same time, they want to cut the Rural Health Stabilization Fund, which hurts states like mine in West Virginia and other southern states and Midwestern states and rural parts of this country. So hardworking Americans have to lose their health care so illegal immigrants can have health care. Now, I'm not sure who that makes sense to, perhaps people on the far left, but it doesn't make sense for the rest of America. So I think eventually they're going to have to fold on this. We do have another paycheck that's going to go out for our troops on the 15th if the government is open. If it's not, our troops are not going to get paid on the 15th, and that's going to be a big deal. 1.3 million people serving our country going without pay because the Democrats won't do the right thing.
Well, that's right. October 15th, likely first missed military salary. October 20th, likely first missed federal worker payment salary. Look, you're talking about the appropriations, and I want you to take us a little behind the curtain, because we don't know when you feel like you could actually get all the appropriations work done and, in fact, be ready to have a real budget. Because I spoke with John Thune on Sunday, the Senate Majority Leader, and, you know, he reminded all of us that we're only going to have to deal with this again, and perhaps the Democrats will hold you all hostage again in November once this current CR is expiring. Watch this. What happens in mid-November after this CR is expiring?
I think we'll face another deadline, but hopefully by then we'll have more appropriations work done. We've got 3 bills passed. They're in conference. If we can get those out of the conference across the floor into law, do a few more. I keep telling Democrats, you'll have another chance. You know, if you want to take the government hostage again, you'll have leverage at that point, too. There are conversations happening on both sides right now on the issue of the enhanced subsidies. You can't do something about that without reforming the program, because the program it's flawed, it's broken, and it's subsidies to insurance companies who are gaming it in a way that enables them to make a lot of money by enrolling people who don't even know they have coverage. So there are changes we'll have to make in it, but there are some who want to see some program like that continue, and you can't have that conversation until you get the government open.
Congressman, what a circus. So we're going to see the same thing. They may want to take the government hostage again in mid-November?
You know, Maria, perhaps they could, but what I'd like to point out is that we've already made a motion to go to conference here in the House on the Ag Bill, Milcon VA, and Ledge Branch with a plan to move through the rest of these bills and conference them with the Senate. We're very close, actually, on all 3 of those bills. And we were under the presumption that perhaps the Democrats actually might do something not out of their own self-interest, but the interest of the country, and pass this clean CR so we could go through the rest of that process and pass these bills. Now, ultimately, could we see some of these bills get CR'd? Perhaps, maybe, if we can't come to an agreement. But just think back, the last time someone has said, we're going to conference in Congress. Unfortunately, that's been a very, very long time. We've gone to a conference on appropriations bills. So what we're trying to do is get a semblance of regular order back into Congress, which is actually what we're paid to do. And so that is good news. We're going through that process. We're ready to get to work. And look, they want to negotiate. That's when we negotiate. We don't negotiate in the middle of a clean CR so we can have the space to be able to actually get regular order back into place.
Well, the president has suggested we could see a significant number of layoffs as a result of this government shutdown. Do you have any sense of how significant that could be and when the president will start announcing that?
Well, it's interesting that the Democrats have decided to put this into the hands of Russ Vought, who knows this process better than anybody else. And I think you are going to perhaps see some significant layoffs and rifts that are going to come. And at the end of the day, in a shutdown, the administration has carte blanche on this. And this actually is probably going to end up being a pretty good exercise in the reduction of the federal budget in itself under Russ Vought and President Trump. So I think we're in a position to win-win on this as Republicans. If Democrats want to hopefully step up and do the right thing, particularly Chuck Schumer, we're in the Schumer shutdown right now. And if Schumer, and we're held hostage right now because of his own political failings back home, and he is scared to death of a primary from AOC in 2028. The whole country's being held hostage because he's trying to cling on to power. If he can't get his act together, then maybe he should step aside and let somebody else lead, because leaders are supposed to lead and they're supposed to take the hard votes and do what's right for the country.
Well, it's not just your Democrat colleagues that are trying to stop and fight Trump. It's also judges. Illinois filing a lawsuit blocking the Trump administration from deploying 400 members of the Texas National Guard to the streets of Chicago. A federal judge declining to immediately block the administration from deploying the troops, giving the administration until Wednesday night to respond. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, however, signed an executive order prohibiting ICE and other federal agencies from using city property for civil immigration enforcement, Congressman. The president says he could invoke Insurrection Act if need be. Your reaction?
Well, I certainly trust the president's judgment on this, but why the Democrats love death, destruction, and chaos in our great cities here in America is just beyond me. I will tell you, somebody who works in Washington, D.C., when the National Guard came in and secured that city, it has never been safer. Never been safer. And I think the actual residents of Washington, D.C. are very happy with the outcome. And I think the actual residents of Chicago and our other great cities here in America would actually like to have safe streets and not people murdered every night.
By the way, great point. Congressman, you sent a letter to Secretary of State Marco Rubio. You called on the State Department to redesignate Nigeria as a country of particular concern due to the persecution of Christians in Nigeria. What's going on there?
Yes, it's really, truly a tragedy what is happening in Nigeria. Just this year alone, 7,000 Christians have been killed by Boko Haram, an Islamic terrorist organization. Just on Ash Wednesday this year, we had a priest kidnapped and murdered, and another 54 Christians martyred on Palm Sunday. There's 35 Christians a day being murdered in Nigeria by an Islamic terrorist organization. The Biden administration removed that designation of a country of particular concern for Nigeria. President Trump had put that designation on them in his first term, and I'm urging Secretary Rubio to bring that designation back because it is certainly warranted. We need to stand up for these Christians who are being murdered in Nigeria.
Unbelievable. All right, Congressman, we'll be watching your work on that as well. Thanks very much for being here this morning.